Hello again, one and all. Welcome back to Transmissions of AJ. I'm here with my beautiful friend,
Hmm.
Kelly Hinson, the other half of the magical duo from Crystal Water Experience. Some of you will know Dr. Jo Whitaker, who was on the show a few weeks ago. And Kelly's here to talk about some of the stuff we talked about that show, but a lot more in detail about her personal story, working with water, healing with water. We're going to talk more about like frequencies and the inorganic and organic grids, but also Kelly's amazing gifts, which I'm not going to steal her thunder about because they are truly magical. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you, my love. It's been a long time, hasn't it? A long time coming. So thank you very much for inviting me. I've been looking forward to this all day, actually.
Good. Um, I mean, for the benefit of the viewers and the listeners, is it right to just give a sort of like brief overview about yourself and kind of, from where you kind of were several years ago to what you're doing now, pretty much full time.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, like I said, the other half Crystal War Experience, which is what myself and Dr. Jo do, and we create by not reading any books. Just want to put it out there because people be like, "This is not in any books." It's not in any books, guys. This is what we're going to teach you today. This is about unlocking your own soul blueprint, and we teach people about the true reality, true nature of our reality, and also about the how to protect from EMF, the true power of grounding, and frequency. So I'll just start briefly about my back history. So I always started 2013. This is way before I met Jo. I only met Jo 2 years ago now, and I was just in the middle of an ordinary life. My kids were very young, like 6 and 4. And I was just running around a Zumba class one day and lost the ability to walk just all of a sudden. And that just put me on a massive journey of like disability, going blind, organs failing, being wrongly diagnosed by the NHS twice, um, and just having to kind of crack on with life, but having this debilitating illness.
Mm.
So I got wrongly diagnosed, like I said, twice, and I did a bit of a sit-in protest in hospital in 2012. No. 2013. And I, because I just lost this ability to see, I went completely blind when I was in after this one day. Said I wasn't moving. I was constantly in hospital with all these treatments because of the wrong diagnosis that they gave me originally. I kept saying that it's wrong, you're missing something, no one believed me. They sent me to all this mental health help and all that kind of thing, which I knew that my intuition was kicking in, thinking there's, you're missing something. And they eventually diagnosed me with something called Poem syndrome, which is a very rare blood disease, blood cancer. And I'd had it for 3 years, and they give you a 5-year life expectancy. So I had to go through the horrible process of having a bone marrow transplant. But just want to point out, before all this, I was not spiritual. I thought anyone that meditated was an absolute nutcase, honestly. And I went through this during the treatment, what I call the void of time, which I'm trying to think of a better word for it, actually. But what I know, what it is now, was me stepping outside the matrix system. Somehow I managed it, and I don't know how, because as we know, AJ, we live in this soul trap.
Mhm.
And I didn't go to the white light with the angels, with the loved ones, and with everything else. I literally sidestepped it and was in this, a bit like your background, actually, just in this vast consciousness state. But I didn't have the language to describe it. I was willing myself for 5 hours to try and wake up because I couldn't. But I was one half in my body, and then the other half of me was just in this beautiful space, which was like having every single cell having multiple orgasms at the same time. It was
It's
that
like
sense
pure
of
bliss state.
pure bliss, yeah. So I was there, but then I was also very aware that I don't want to be here. I need to go back in my body. So then I was being transported back to this meat suit of a body that was really sick and couldn't move and was really ill. Um, but after that had happened, I instantly knew that I was going to be okay, even though everything was very touch and go. And from that process after that, This was 2016. Sorry, I got my dates wrong at the beginning. So it's 2016. And I started to feel very energy sensitive, and again, didn't have the language to describe it. Felt like I was being pulled out of my body. My skin would physically, you could put your hand on my arm and you could physically feel me vibrating from the inside out. And like I was talking to Jo today, actually, what I realized what that was that void and consciousness and that expansiveness had come back with me, and it was showing up as this ultra energy sensitivity. But it took me, I mean, I'm 10 years post-transplant now, so it took me all this time to work out what it was, what I need to do with it, and for it to send me on my mission. So that, in a nutshell, is how it all started.
Wow.
I know. So I don't know if you want to ask any questions, because then I can carry on, but I just want to give you
the
space to ask anything.
No, it's amazing. And what I'll actually do, obviously, I always open up the conversation to everybody. It's obviously very interactive. So if anybody does have questions during it, please drop any questions in the comments. I'll try and get through as many as possible, obviously, during you explaining stuff. And I like to put them up on the screen and stuff like that. So it's good to keep it as interactive as possible. So everyone who's watching, listening, just feel free to pop anything in the comments, whether you're tuning in on Facebook, X, or YouTube. Thank you for that. It's interesting. When you come back, obviously doing the retreats that we do, and we work with medicines and stuff like that. And, depending on your state of being, you can very much go to those realms, which is pure bliss state. Like I was literally talking to you beforehand. I experienced it sitting with the medicine on the weekend, last weekend. And it is quite hard to explain. And it is actually very personal, just like everything, just like every experience you have is very personal, right? But like, how did you feel like after that in terms of it? I mean, just like everything else, that experience would have made you kind of integrate it a little bit to try and work it out, and to not go mad and think like, well, if I don't believe in meditation, like, clearly I need to go on some psych meds after what I experienced. Because that's what does happen to a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Did it take you a while to kind of like integrate into what you experienced and then kind of figure it out?
It really did. I remember when it first started. Like I went out of hospital very quickly. I was meant to be in there for 8 weeks, and in 2.5 weeks, because I knew I was going to be fine, and I started to have really good progress in my blood report and all the rest of it. I was allowed home. I had lots of other illnesses because of the accumulation of literally every system in my body was shutting down, system by system. So I had lots of other illnesses that were accumulated to that. So I had something called Addison's disease, which is fatal if you don't take the medication, and my thyroid was literally shot. There's other things as well, but they give me this bag of medication and said, if you don't take this, you'll be back in hospital or you'll die. You have to take this. Because I knew that I was going to be okay, I just I went home, wrapped it up in Christmas paper so my family didn't know, and I threw it in the bin. And it was a Sunday night, and the bin men were coming the following day because I didn't want to get scared and tempted to take it. And I just, and again, AJ, I wasn't any spiritually way-minded at all, but my intuition was kicking in, even though I didn't know what that was, to say, don't take it, you're going to be okay. So from that point, I think even just a few days after, I remember thinking about what was that and trying to make sense of it, because I'd already asked the doctors and they just said, oh, it's the drugs, it's the, you needed a blood transfusion and da, 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 da. So in me, my 3D mind, I thought, yep, that's right. But then I didn't have any answers to this physical vibration that I had going on inside me, and my hands would literally shake like this. And I was shaky anyway because of the illness, but this was something different. I didn't know what it was, and again I got scared and I went for all the tests again, etc., and they all come back clear, and they were quite amazed by how well I actually was. So I didn't really start to integrate it probably till about 4 months later, when I went to see a friend of mine who did Reiki and was like wanting to help me. And again, this was another spiritual crazy person, but I thought, I'll have this Reiki session. And as soon as she put her hands on me, that feeling that I was getting, we know what it is, that energy sensitivity feeling, it went up 10 times more. So as soon as she did that and explained it to me, that it's energy that you're feeling, that put me on the path then. And then I really started to be able to integrate it without holding on to the fear of me getting sick again. And then I was literally balls deep in the spiritual community then, and no one could tell me anything. So I went from like 3D to waving my sage, banging my drum, wearing my kaftan, and I was the most spiritual person in the world. Did you know what I mean? So through that process, that's when I started to integrate. But even that didn't. I was trying to fit myself into a community that I didn't quite belong, because what I was experiencing, yes, it was the energy sensitivity, but there was a lot more that I was talking to, like my spiritual friends within the community, and they either didn't believe what I was saying or couldn't relate to it. So I thought I didn't have a place. I didn't have a place at all, apart from when I was sitting in nature, and that's when all the energy started to come to me, and that's what really, really put me on my path, and the integration of nature and grounding and myself, you know.
And obviously we experience this with all the communities that we kind of find ourselves moving into, like over time, you know, like I've lived in different places, like since my own version of my journey, do you know what I mean? And so I've kind of woven it into communities, made lots of friends, met lots of, let's call them mirrors, you know, along the way, but they're all there for us to teach us lessons within those communities, within those genres, right, within that spiritual community, you know, because not every single person is love and light, right? Like there's literally they've still got those like long or dark ego patterns, which is about greed and lust and desire and all those kind of things. And you know, we've seen it like year in, year out over the last few years with individuals and even groups, you know, sometimes. But if you don't have any of that kind of stuff on any of our journeys, we'd never experience it all, would we? Like we wouldn't understand it, and I don't think it would accelerate you to higher, you know, much higher heights without these
100%.
people, without these people and lessons, you know. So everyone in your story has a part to play, like literally,
100%.
like good cop, bad cop. It's you know, and that's what makes it so exciting, because it's like
really,
because then how do you deal with again, how we were talking about earlier about, you know, reaction. Most people are in the situation they are, and the lifestyle they're in and everything, because of their daily reactions to the matrix, right?
That's it.
So yeah, it'll always blow my mind to an extent, which is good. You know, observing all of this, you know, and individuals and their journeys and stuff like that, it's absolutely fascinating.
It's true, because when I was within that community, I did see a lot of beautiful people and experienced some amazing things. But then when I stepped back and did observe it, it was very ego led. And if you didn't kind of fit the bill type of thing, you were kind of kicked out. And I was very, very different. And again, like I was trying to fit into something that I didn't quite belong into. But it was one of the most beautiful times of my life. And it was round about COVID that started. And it wasn't until I kind of did step away from the spiritual community and in a sense, and started to take my healing sessions into nature, that's when my own blueprint and gifts started to really come online. And because I wasn't trying to fit into something I didn't belong to, I had this thing about, I haven't got a guide, I don't know who my guides are, and I don't see angels and all this kind of thing. And it was a bit of a, oh, you don't? And like, I don't. So that in my mind, I think I can't be very spiritual then if I don't have that. But now I know nature was my only thing I ever needed, and that's where everything started to ramp up. And I can talk a bit about that if you want to.
Yeah, no. I was actually about to allude to that. It's you know, I know how amazing your gifts are, but you know, for the benefit of the listeners, if it's all right to explain basically what they are in essence, like how they kind of came about / you know, ramped up, and how you use them basically on a day-to-day sort of week-to-week basis.
Okay. So this is the crazy part of the story, and this is the amazing part of the story. So I would take all my, I started to do my healing sessions in nature, but also did a lot of journaling and just trying to, get rid of the trauma I've been through a hell of a lot. So I'd be journaling within nature, and being surrounding the trees. Like I said, I would physically vibrate. But I remember holding a pen and paper and just kind of looking at this really big oak tree. And this oak tree, hold on one second. This oak tree had such a beautiful, strong energy. I just held my pen to the paper and my hand started to write out by itself. And I thought, okay, what's that? I did it again, started to move by itself. I thought, oh, what the hell? That's not me. Right. I did it again. And then I looked at a different tree and a different frequency and code would come out. And I thought, this is the tree's frequency and vibration connecting to me. And then it's coming through on the piece of paper, a bit like an ECG. It just goes, but it wasn't like anything that I was downloading. It was the tree that was connecting to me. And via the pen and paper, it was showing me its code. So being this really energy sensitive barometer that I did become, I started to do this. I dropped the kids off at school. Bearing in mind at this point in time, I was still learning to walk again. I was still on crutches and things. And I would just take myself in nature, drop them to school. And I would start to put my hands on the soil around the forest, all different parts of the forest, and feel the different vibrations and the qualities of the soil. I could feel it. So I started to collect these little tiny jars of soil, take them home and be giving them to people going, can you feel the energy in this? Can you feel the energy in this? They'd be like, no. I was like, how can you not? And I would sleep with these jars of soil underneath my pillow. And in fact, there's one here. This is my daughter's room I'm sitting in. There's one here now. They're all over the house because they've learned now about the properties of the soil and sand. And then I'll go to different beaches when we go on a holiday and stuff, and I would do the same thing. And I would gather sand that was really high vibrational that would make my skin shake. That's what I used to call it, skin shaking sand. And when I got these, when I mixed them together, they created such a powerful, like resonant chamber for the energy. And with the codes that I was writing down, I would also put those into the jars of soil and it would amplify. And it wasn't until I started to learn dowsing and I went to like a mind, body, spirit fair, I physically saw the effects of what grounding does versus when we're ungrounded. So with dowsing rods, for people that don't know what dowsing rods are, they're usually made of copper, but you can have them made of anything. I've done it with sticks in the forest. You can do it like that. But they, you can find water. They basically find water. So this lady was dowsing people's energy field, your auric field, your biofield. And when she held them like this, as soon as she got to the field, they would cross over. But when you were grounded, the rods just shot back like this, right? You've seen this demonstration before, haven't you? And when we hold our mobile phone, your auric field goes to nothing. And I've learned since, like with me and Jo, because she brings the science to like the crystal water experience, the magnetic field of the body completely disappears when we hold our mobile phone, and we need our magnetism and electricity to form our biofield, because as soon as the magnetism of the biofield disappears, the electrical system of the body goes haywire. So I've learned that from within crystal water experience and from this lady that was doing the dowsing. So I started to create these little laminate phone stickers, and found that when people had one of these on the back of the phone or even just held them in their hand, they were protected from their mobile phone. Their auric field was completely grounded. And I thought, right, okay, this is amazing. And I started to take my healing sessions outside in nature, because 2020 hit and we'd been shut down from the healing center we were doing like 3 times. So I went to come out in nature, and I was doing these healing sessions with a community, and I did them every week. And there's this one lady came up to me and she said, do you think you can do a healing session on my dad? Like, I come to your sessions every week and they're amazing, but can you book a one-to-one? And I said, yep. So I took him down into the forest, and this poor guy, he was like, had really bad knees and shoulder and hips. And I, you know how tall I am, AJ. I'm 6 foot tall. I had 2 crutches, learning to walk still. This guy was walking to me in the forest. I didn't tell him what I was about to do because I didn't want him to have a preconceived idea. And I just said, come on then, let's go to the forest. I even bought a little trowel. And I said to him, just sit with your back against the tree. So he did, and he was chatting away. So I was digging this person-shaped hole in the forest. He didn't say a word. And I dug it about that far. And I just said to him, can you just lie down in that, please? And he went, yeah, no problem. And he lay down. And the experience that we both had was just profound, because what I was actually doing was cocooning him in a really beautiful part of nature, really deep organic nature. So the negative ions from the ground was activating his cells with this life force energy. Mm-hmm. And then I was sandwiching him with my energy and even sprinkled soil on him. And the healing that he had was amazing. I had to stop the session after about 20 minutes because it was too much for me. I was sweating. It was I was physically shaking like this because everything was just going on. And he got up and he just said, like, what did you do to me? And I said, I don't know. I said, but how do you feel? And he said, like, I feel amazing. And he started walking around and he had no pain whatsoever. So it was the earth plus my energy, but mainly the earth, to be perfectly honest, that was activating those cells. So then that made me realize, for one, everyone needs to do this, but I can't go around burying everybody in the forest, right? It's most likely to get arrested. And how can I bring the physical elements of nature into people? I'd already been making these phone stickers, so I was already well on the way of using the earth elements. So I started to make pendants for people, and also the phone stickers as well. And I thought, okay, so they're just going to be protected from phones. It's going to protect us from EMF. But what actually was happening from all the feedback that I was getting, people were actually healing from so many medical conditions. It was just crazy. And in fact, a few weeks ago, myself and Jo was doing a presentation. I think it was in Dartford. And there was a lady that I used in my presentation. Her husband burnt his leg. And I don't know I always get confused. It was either whatever 3rd degree or 1st degree burns is. I don't know the difference between the two, but the worst one of the two. And he had to go to the burns unit. He spilt like this coffee or something on him. I can't remember. The bandaged up his leg, and she brought 2 pendants from me, put them in his bandages, and the healing that he got was like miraculous. And even the burns unit said to him, like, what are you doing? Because it's nearly healed. It didn't take long at all. So, and that was because he was quantumly grounded to that place in nature. So that's what our products do now. They quantumly ground us, even though I'm physically here now with this tiny little necklace that I have on here, because the pendants were really big before, because again, I was spiritual and needed all this big jewelry, right? So I made them smaller so my kids would wear them. And even though I'm here, I'm quantumly grounded. A part of me is quantumly grounded to the forest. So we don't, even though being physically in nature is the best thing that we can do, we can also quantumly ground as well, which is amazing. So
and
all
I've got your biofield on the back of my phone. So for the benefit of those who are watching this, or even those listening to it back on Apple or Spotify,
I can feel the energy from that.
I've got one of the stickers on the back of my phone for that exact reason. And like, I know they absolutely work, because like I've got very prolific activations within my own body that have come online probably in the last 6 to 12 months systematically. And like, that wouldn't be the case if I didn't have one of these on. I know that I wouldn't experience what I experience with them without this on, but you know what I mean? Because my field is being absolutely affected by obviously the energy that's pumped out by these cell cell phones, because that's all it is, isn't it? It's to keep your mind and body in a cell.
It is. Because and that's it, AJ, because that again is quantumly grounding you. And it's what we've found out in over the years of working with mobile phones is that no one tells you about how dangerous the lithium battery is, and that's lithium batteries in the phones, in the watches, in the earbuds, wireless headphones, anything with a lithium battery is damaging to our biofield, and it just destroys it completely. So even if your phone is off in aeroplane mode, it doesn't matter. And we show this time and time again in our live shows by kinesiology and dowsing. And there's no getting away from the fact that when you hold your mobile phone, that your body is at least 20 to 30% weaker. And we've done this on like big burly men, and they're like, yep, do it again, and you just push their arm down. And then as soon as you put a sticker on the hand or a sticker on the phone, their strength returns straight away. And we do this without telling people what we're doing, because obviously you're going to get people saying, well, I'm stronger now because you told me I was going to be stronger. So all we just say is like, hold out your arm, hold your phone, just give them stage by stage instructions. And every single time it works. And there was a lady who'd come to one of our shows who was a PT, and we did it live on stage. And then she repeated the same experiment in her gym by just watching us do it. And the following day, she tested 200 people. And within those 200 people, every single person was affected. And then every single person had an effect when they had when they held her phone with the sticker on. So even though it's just a sticker, it's doing so much more. It's like amazing.
Yeah, they are phenomenal. And like I have Bluetooth headphones, you know, the overhead ones, the noise cancelling ones, but I have a sticker on the outside of them. I have them on the back of my laptop. I've got them on my Starlink router. I've got them on my water my water filter, right in the bathroom, in the bedroom, in the car. Yeah, I've literally got them everywhere. And do you know what? Actually, one of the biggest things I've noticed, because I'm very, you know, I'm very much the observer. I always have been. Like, I watch and I see everything. Is that since like having these on all my devices, and pretty much I have this sticker in some form with me, like in some capacity, right? I'm around it all the time. I literally see all the aspects of the matrix. Like because I'm not plugged in. Do you know what I mean? I'm unplugged from that from those matrix energies and that. So in the market or downtown or wherever it may be, like where there's people, I literally see the matrix and the programs and the algorithms just running on repeat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't unsee it, can you? And these,
and that's actually not a scary thing. It's a good thing.
No,
you know,
absolutely.
You realize you can then see your own power within the game, right? And it's and you know, it's not a case of leaving it. It's a case of stepping out of it and just observing it, and then you play it how you want and in control. You know what I mean? And this is where we're all kind of like going with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's that's it. It's stepping out of the matrix, and we have to live in this matrix system for now. But there is a way to counteract it, and what we do with our products is to like I say, to quantum ground. You are in the forest still, and everything's developing. Like week by week, we have so many amazing ideas, and we are creating, between all of us, we are creating this beautiful new earth, and this is where technology is going. It's going to be the technology of the earth. It's how it's always meant to be.
Yeah, and then through us, because we are the tech, you know, and that's why these gifts are coming online so prolifically for so many people. Like my DMs are absolutely slammed at the minute. You know, everything from people experiencing like the most esoteric gifts come online like that, which is quite scary for them, to people who are like rapidly, it's almost getting like a bleed through from spirit. Do you know what I mean? Because that these last reminiscence of blockages and things that's within the body, like just basically need to be pushed through like rapido, because of where we're going, where we're literally going at warp speed, right? We're literally going there like so quick. And And that's why it's great to do these podcasts with like different people each week who, you know, really bring something to the party, not just their own gifts, but it's important to showcase them and talk about them, because people can expect to experience similar, you know, if they're not already at the moment. And it doesn't mean you're late. And the important message is, I think, no one's late to the party. Like
Yeah.
there has to be way showers or people who go forward, right? And it's the same in the military, right? You have your forward recce who want to see where the enemy are and like how to exploit it, right? You have to. And it's the same now. You have to, like, we've all got mentors, right? In loads of different ways. People have taught us, or characters, as we like to call them, in this mental game of Grand Theft Auto. Like, they come in, don't they? And then they give you what you need, and then they just kind of like phase out. But it's a level upgrade all the time, isn't it? Within the game, like within the simulated reality for you. And but at the same time, it's can you embody it whilst dealing with your emotions that you've always had since you were born, and the ego battles.
100%. And I think the key to all of this is to regulate your nervous system.
Yes.
Like, it has to be super regulated. And I've been going through my own process at the minute, and I was talking about a family member of mine earlier on, and realized that my nervous system's so regulated, and we're always going to have work to do. And I'm not saying that I'm the most perfect person in the world by any means whatsoever. I was even getting pissed off at a fly that was flying around my room this morning. So, you know, we've all got work to do. But I can quite safely say I'm kind of the most regulated and at peace and the most calm I've ever been in my life. And even though I've got all this stuff that's going on, I just don't fear it. And I was saying to Joe the other day, I just said, we're all chasing money. We have to, because we're in this, you know, this system. We've got to pay our bills, and it's always about this. I need this. I need this. But really, and you think about all the billionaires, all the millionaires, and all of them are stressed because they're trying to get that next thing and that next thing. But what people aren't chasing is peace. And now I've come to realize that now, and it's like a saying I've been saying the last few weeks, that peace now is my paycheck. And that's what I get from it, from all this work. It's the peace. And that's what that is my goal in life. And isn't that what we all strive when we strip it all back?
Yeah. No, I totally concur as well. It's been right up there as a priority for me, and especially the last 12 months, to finally make peace with a lot of things. And it's finding what suits you, and like what your, you know, what's part of your soul mission to find that peace, you know. And everyone's different. There is not a one size fits all, but it all comes back to that one thing, which is being in peace, because you can't be happy unless you're in peace. You can't.
That's it. You can't. And probably you're the same. I just don't let anything destroy my peace anymore. And I don't care how much it financially costs me. I'm just not doing it. Not worth it.
Yeah, no. I don't. It is a long journey, and I know that people watching and listening, like, will literally be nodding their heads, going, "Yeah, man." Because everybody's feeling stuff in the body at the minute. Everybody's feeling these like cellular upgrades, these DNA upgrades, the cosmic upgrades, like all of it. Like, and people are rapidly coming online. You know, there's lots of heart expansion going on. There's lots of back heart activation, which is what I posted about yesterday. Because we're literally releasing all that old stuff, like a portal almost, like into the ether, and projecting forward with like your new Earth mission. And so everyone's experiencing the ups and downs, the highs and lows. But like I think what we've all got to really embody is the fact that we are all here to feel this experience in the body. And for us to really truly understand just how powerful the human body is, and every single cell is meticulously designed for a reason. There's not odd parts, despite the NHS wanted to take everything out of us, fucking wisdom teeth, gallbladders, and everything else you can imagine. We've just got this phenomenal machine that like we're having this experience in. And that's what I love about the work that you guys do. You know, you show people at a cellular level the
Yeah.
impact things have on the body through water. You know, and
Yeah.
and you simplify it, which is
So
so
simple.
it is
It's
so
so simple.
simple.
And I actually think it's water that it will heal the earth eventually. So I'll just go into the water part if that's all right. So with the frequencies that I was downloading from nature, just going back a little bit, I realized that I could actually download. And when I say download, I'm not downloading them from anything that's external. It's everything that's within me, with activating my own DNA, my own God source, original spark consciousness. That's what it is. It's nothing external at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I realized that I could connect to whatever it is. Say for you, AJ, and you said, oh, do you know what, Carl? I got such bad toothache. I'd be like, you know what? Let me see if I can help you. So I would tune into you because I can bring the frequency down of anything that's organic of nature. And I would say to myself, like, I really need to get rid of the distortion field that is causing AJ's toothache. So this is how it started, actually. A friend of mine did have toothache, and I just said to her, let me just see if I can help you. So I did, and I downloaded this frequency, and she brought a bottle of water to my house, and I embedded the frequency in the bottle of water, and I just said, well, just rub that water now around your tooth. Let's see if it helps, because I didn't know if it was going to work. And within a few minutes, it worked really well. So I started to do it with so many people for free. People used to just come to my house. I do them a frequency. There you go. That'll help that. That'll help that pain. And it wasn't until probably about 4 months later. And I mean, when people's pain would go instantly, AJ. It was instant. Or if it was a really extreme pain, they'd be like, oh, it's not worked. And then the next day, they'd be absolutely pain-free. And this is by me writing a frequency through my own soul, writing the frequency, placing the glass of water on top of it, and then just taking the water home. So it was getting a bit, it took a long time. So I started to do it remotely. Again, trying it, didn't know if it was going to work. None of this stuff's in books. I'm creating my own little thing. So I just said to a friend of mine, he had toothache again, extreme. I mean, he was pacing the house. This guy's 6'4" and he was crying. It was that bad. And he just said, can you do your frequency thing? And I cannot drive all the way there. It was about 40 miles away. I said, let's see if we can do it via the phone. So I said to him, record a glass of water for me for 30 seconds. But before that, put your finger in it. So the water would then hold its own resonance, his resonance, right? So he recorded the glass of water. I did the frequency. I literally put the piece of paper on the phone like this. And I said to him, okay, now quantumly, if my crazy brain is correct, that frequency would have gone into your water. He said, okay. So he put it on his tooth. The next day, woke up, he had no toothache whatsoever. And he never had any. And he even went to the dentist, and he had what was causing it. He had an extra nerve in his tooth that you don't see very often. And the dentist said, how are you not climbing the walls? And he went, if I told you, you would never believe me. So I started to do that with people all over the world. And I held Zoom calls every week for 6 months or so, inviting people to just bring a glass of water. I would download a general frequency to help aches and pains. I would hold that water up to the screen. They would hold theirs up to the screen, and they would rate their pain out of 10 at the beginning. And they would put the water wherever the pain is. And 100% of the time, it worked for everybody every time. It's amazing. So with when I met Jo, I told her all about this, and we decided to create a quantum water charger that is not only to charge your water so you're protected from EMF, right? But this can also help as a pain relief. It can help with pain. So we do live demonstrations every time we do our live show. We just have a show of hands of who's got pain, and we go around spraying them. And every time people's pains have gone completely, or it's reduced by, at least half. So it's amazing. And we quite recently had a lady that in Dartford again, where she'd broke her arm 7 years prior, and since then she couldn't have be around any technology at all, because the EMF would activate the brake, and it'd go all down her arms, all down her hip. Been to all these specialists, they couldn't do anything about it. She come to us in the show, and I sprayed it on her arm, and at first she said it got worse. And when you have Reiki sometimes, and you feel that like pressure and pain, and it can get worse sometimes, the pain, because of the energy. And then all of a sudden she burst out crying, and I was like, oh my God, it's made it that bad. And I just said, are you okay? And she said, my pain's completely gone. And she said that she's suicidal with the pain usually. So, and all her friends were around her, and a friend was saying, thank you, you don't understand how much this means to her. And only a couple of days ago, she actually rang me and wanted to order another sticker. And she said that it's completely changed her life. And now she's going out, she's going dancing again, and she can be around technology. She just gives herself a spray, and she's back to how she was before. So this is how powerful it is, and this is how powerful water is, because it's Vade Austin says that water is consciousness, but it's water, in mine and Joe's opinion, water holds consciousness and holds information.
Yeah.
And with that information, we can put anything in for the good or for the bad, and that's how this reality is one of the ways it's being controlled.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, that's the water side of it, and that's what we sell on our website. They're called Comfort and Ease Quantum Water Chargers. And I was going to do a demonstration now, but I haven't got any water. But I can get some, and then everyone on the chat or who's watching can get their water, and we can do a bit of an experiment if you want to.
That's actually a really good idea. Just while you're doing that, I put it onto the actual screen, a direct link, and I've put it into the chat groups as well. If anybody wants to,
okay, I'll quickly go and get the water. Sorry,
if anybody wants to check out all of the amazing products the Crystal Water Experience do, and learn about the science and everything that's actually gone into it, for your own education, if anything, like the amount of quantum wisdom I've learned through Kelly and Jo has been a big part of my own journey. So I can't stress that enough. So please, guys, do check out the website. If you use that link, you do purchase anything, you do get 10% off. So we're all in need of a few savings at the minute. And when Joe was talking about, Kelly was talking about the water and stuff like that, and just how important it is, etc., etc. Just like the human body, and so much is done to keep our bodies inflamed and not grounded, and or our nervous system haywire. You think about all the water sources around the world, and actually, like, where do you find an absolute gleaming clean one that is not had some sort of manipulation tried to be had with it? Everything from the Amazon rivers to our oceans, to these wind farms they're putting in them, to all the crap they put in your tap water, the microplastics in the bottled water. Every opportunity where there's a water source, there's some entity trying to do something with it to distort it. So if that doesn't tell you how powerful water is, I don't know what is.
Exactly. Right, can I just see, and obviously can you see the chat, AJ? I can, but I can't comment because I've not signed in as such. But
if
everyone got a glass of water, even if a few people have got it, and we'll do this. And if you've got any pain, not like I want you in pain, but it'd be great if you did. And then we can really show you how this works.
Come on, you hypochondriacs, queue up.
Yeah.
Can I do it with my bottle?
Of course you can.
Cool.
Okay. Right then. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to hold this jar of water up to the screen, and I want you guys to also do the same thing, and we'll do this for like 30 seconds or so. If you rate your pain out of 10, and then we'll ask you again in a minute or so, and then we'll see how it goes. But then, yeah. So hold I don't know if you can pin me, AJ. I don't know, but this should be fine anyway. This will be fine. So whoever's energy sensitive, I mean, I can feel the energy. I can feel the energy really strong by it because I can feel people connecting. All right then. So so with the water, you just put the water on wherever is painful in your head, like wherever it is. And if you don't have any pain, that's okay, because this water will protect you from EMF for the next 24 hours. And this can be physically measured. And if you come on our courses at crystalwaterexperience.com, you'll see how to measure this. So yeah, let's see. So someone in the chat said, I'll never forget the first talk, walked in with intense toothache, left there with pain-free. I remember my mind looking for the pain but couldn't. Yeah, doesn't surprise me. Amazing. So you can keep this water now, and you can just keep topping it up and it'll just last. But try and keep it away from frequencies, not by microwaves or, water absorbs in anything. So wrap it up in foil if you can and put it in a cupboard so it's not next to anything, and the frequency will just carry on. But if not, then these are the quantum water chargers that we sell on our website, and you can put it on we've got it on here, like on a water jug, your kids' water, anywhere. Basically inside the bath, because they're very, 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 very sticky. So you can put them where the water comes in the bath, and it also, turns your whole bath into like a healing cocoon. So it's amazing.
Yeah,
and I think we've only we're just at the tip of the iceberg. That's all with it. For what water actually does.
I think as people like deprogram from all the crap that we've been taught, in schools and universities and David Crappenborough programs and stuff like that, our wisdom in line with our consciousness goes up, right? So people can absorb and understand this information, and it just feels normal, natural, right? And because it is so simple.
So simple.
And that's, like I said before, like you and Joe have just like magnificently simplified it to a T. And then when you actually learn more about this, and then you step into the realms of learning deeper about reality and organic and inorganic grid systems, distortions, and like multi-dimensions and all this kind of stuff. You've already got this in your, I guess, your arsenal, I guess, as part of your training. Because that's all we're doing. Well, everybody who learns what you guys teach is just leveling up in their abilities, and again, that's how simple it is on this journey. It's just we're all here to level up, and probably one of the most sacred elements in our lives is water. We're made up of predominantly water, hence the electromagnetism.
Exactly.
And the earth is, as we know, is a representation of us, projected through the heart. So it's amazing. And it's been good for like me and Corin as well, just watching you girls grow and coming along to some of your events, and and seeing you girls at work, and you're just on it all the time.
On it all the time. Same with you, AJ. It's been really amazing to see you grow, and you've been to quite a few of your ceremonies that you were doing. It's like this time last year, we're both completely different people to what we were then. It's just that constant being evolving, isn't it? Do you want me to talk a bit more about the grids and the readings and stuff?
I was going to ask you. I was actually wanting to ask you about the readings and how that, like, how you tap into the grid and all that kind of stuff. I've been exceptionally fortunate to have an awesome reading of yourself, a while back, and it answered. Well, you answered all the questions that I asked, in essence. So for the benefit of those watching and listening, it is literally a case of you ask Kelly the questions that you seek answers for, and and Kelly gets them for you pretty much.
Yeah.
That's it in a nutshell. But yeah, obviously, you elaborate on the magnificent gift that you have.
Thank you, love. Yeah, your reading was like one of my faves, and I am actually writing a book at the moment. It's taken longer than I expected, and it's harder than I thought. I've got, I think, 7 books of people's readings over the years since I've been doing them for like, what, 7 years or so, 6 years. And yours will be in the book if that's okay.
Crack on.
Yeah, so how this started was when all the frequency and patterns and things started to come through to me, I then started to get the words as well. And it started off with myself. I was asking, like, what is this that's coming through me? Because it wasn't, and when I was writing, because it comes through via automatic writing, it was like someone was writing me a murder note, because it was like that intense, and it took me ages to be able to do it. And once I started to do myself, I started to do friends of mine, and realized I could go back into people's past lives and find trauma related things. So the first one that I did was a friend of mine who I've been friends with since I've been 3 years old. And she said to me, my son, who was 21 at the time, he's constantly wants to know where his mom is, and he's scared that, where is she? Anyway, it turns out that they were, because you can be anything in a past life, man, woman, your kid could have been your wife, etc. And they were husband and wife in the past life. And in the war, I think it was a First World War, he was killed and he was set fire to in a tank, right? But before that, she was shot in the head, and he knew that she'd been killed, and he died not so long after. And that's why this trauma was constantly resurfacing in this life about his mom. And she just says, Cal, you're not going to believe this. She went, Joe, lift up your top for Auntie Cal. And he did. And he got a massive birthmark, which I'd never seen before, on his chest from here all the way to his back, like a burn. Right. And then she's got this big fear of loud bangs and fireworks. And I knew that. And she just said, come here, I want to show you something. And she went like this with her hair, and the inside of her hair here was a big birthmark, like a bullet wound.
Wow.
And that's how it started with the past lives. But since then, they've got a lot more, I would say they're much deeper now. So I realized that I can, in that void space that I went to, I skipped out of the matrix system and able to, I'll start from the beginning actually with this. So when we come to this planet, right, and this is going to really trigger some people, so I'm sorry that I am going to trigger you now, but it's something maybe you need to look at, right? Most spiritual people believe that we've come here and chose to come here every lifetime after every lifetime after every lifetime, right? It's another distortion of truth. And I'm going to say this and it's a satanic idea, in my opinion, because we originally come here with a mission, or when Earth was at its new form, it was just nature, it was beautiful. We decided, I want to go there, that looks great. From that moment when we went there, we got caught in this soul trap loop of reincarnation cycle, because we are the batteries that run this planet, basically. And every incarnation, we go towards the light, we get put back in the cycle, and we go again. And then we go towards the light, we get put back in the cycle. We don't choose to come back in the cycle. And I want to just say this, like, when people say, we choose to come here for this and we've chose to come here for that, that's because we're having our experience now. It's okay for us to say that because that's a nice thing to say, but can you imagine saying that to an horrific child sex trafficking victim that's going through it now? Do you really think that they would have chose this? And then someone said to me, but it's source expressing itself, it needs to learn lessons. I'm like, right, but why can't it learn the lesson once? Why does it have to keep happening? It doesn't make any sense. It's another spiritual distortion about everything is our fault. Do you know what I mean? So when I was delving into all this, it was like, yeah, you are right. You are trapped, and it's your choice about basically knowing how to die properly. Is in essence, it's about, are you going towards this light and then getting trapped again, or are you going to this void space where I literally seem to hop over the fence to this void space, or you're getting out that way? You can choose. Do you want to be in the void space forever? Probably not. I want to go in, and you know, in a way, it's good. We will always be in a system, because if we're not in a system, we just like that picture at the back, ever expansive. You know, like, do we want to be like that all the time? I probably don't. I'll probably get a bit bored. So I choose to go into different lifetimes. But the original organic, and with the reading, sorry, I'll talk about that now. We've come with this organic nature and our gifts. We've come here to help the world, the earth evolve. So with the readings, I go back to the most relevant lifetime to this person's current lifetime. And another question that I ask, because I've evolved a lot more since I did the reading with you, AJ, and then I ask about, when were they most aligned to their original organic soul blueprint, which is a really important question. And what comes through now is generally all nature-based, and their innate gifts that's within them, where it's all about connecting to nature. For example, we did a podcast with this guy today, who I did one of the readings for him a long time ago, and he's made a business of his soul blueprint now, and he's given up his job, and the reading was so profound. And he was just go about his past life. He was a guy that would take people into nature. It was close. I mean, you can imagine, we've had thousands of lifetimes, and in 1884 he was the most connected to his blueprint. But he's had thousands of lifetimes before that, because he's been trapped, and it was only then his soul blueprint come to surface. And he was this guy who would take people out into nature, who would help them heal. And he had this attraction to wood, and he would help people heal with a piece of nature. And when I give him the reading, I even said the advice at the end: go into nature and start collecting wood. You need to, and this is what's coming through. And he sent me a picture of his wood collection. He said, I've got all these in my house and I don't know why. So he now creates this healing art, and he's made this business from it, and people stand in front of these pictures and get all this healing from them, because he's aligned to his soul's blueprint. So that's in essence what they are. They're really getting to like the nuts and bolts of you as a soul. They're not going to be, what job am I going to do, or what my girlfriend's going to do. Nothing to do with that. And I have to really say to people, they have to be ready for that kind of reading, because it's so out of what our comfort zone to read this all about, you know, this deep organic part of ourselves. People are like, I don't get it. So I go onto AI now and I create a picture of the reading, so people can have a visual representation of what they actually did, and I find that's really helping now.
Oh, that's good.
But when you really get into it, it is quite amazing. So those are the readings that I do anyway.
Yeah, I know, and being a recipient of those readings, like I'm actually living this life as per probably my most organic, you know, timeline, like you said before. You know, a lot of I asked you in my reading, like my connections to the military, and you said I've been like military in every single lifetime as like a commander and all this kind of stuff. I just kind of giggled afterwards, and I was just like, well, I just got really shit at dying, and just kept coming back like in the military.
But again, that's been in the soul track. Let me just put the light on, because you're struggling to see.
And but what was actually beautiful was only actually recently, you know, I had quite a profound experience where me and Corinne basically found this abbey down the road from us that we didn't even know was there. And what was mad is I was going for a run
Mm-hmm.
near where we live in this forest. And I started just like, as I was running, I started getting all these like downloads about the city of Troy and Achilles and Helen of Troy and all this kind of stuff and the Trojan warrior and that. And I was just like, what's all this about then? But then it was just like, it was all piecing together. And I was
Mm.
like, wow. And then we found this, we found this abbey like a week later, and it's on Viking Way. And the Viking Way is, I think it's 148 miles long if you do all the different routes. And I'm actually going to be walking it with Corin's mum in
How are you? Yeah.
like next month. Yeah, like broken up into parts. And
Because your reading was very Viking based, wasn't it?
yeah,
If I
yeah,
remember right.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, very Viking based. And Corin's had like visions and stuff like that in the past, where it's made her upset because suddenly she's said goodbye to me more than once.
Mm.
You know,
Mm. Yeah.
like gone to war or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was really quite profound that actually sat and meditated at this abbey, and I had the sun on me, and it was just like this clear message. It was like a punch in the face. It was literally just like, "You are home." That's all I
Wow.
heard.
Wow.
Like, "You are home," and I was literally sat. This abbey is
Mhm.
on Viking Way. It looks at the Lincoln Cathedral, and it's literally an eye shot of it. It's on the same kind of traverse line. And yeah, it was really profound. And then obviously, as you know, we live in Lincoln, which is
Mhm.
a big part of that. But it's also the home of the Magna Carta as well, which you said in my reading,
That's great.
I had a big involvement in. And for those watching and listening, like I lived in Salisbury, where half the Magna Carta is, and I now live in Lincoln, where the other part is held in the castle.
Mm.
You know, I didn't move from one to the other for that reason.
Yeah, you
You know,
just meant
lots,
that was
fucking lots of
profound. That reading was actually just
yeah,
coming back.
lots happened in between then.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, and
Mm,
like I said, I mean, it goes back to it, it it goes back so far, but it seems that we have to have so many lifetimes for our blueprint to start to resurface. I mean, there's
mm,
some people. I think the furthest back one I've done is probably 8 something AD, and they were the closest to the blueprint then,
wow,
but never since, because
wow.
we've been trapped and distracted and with everything else, because we're so powerful as humans. They have to keep doing the thing, they have to keep distracting us. They don't want us to be in line with our blueprint, because then that we would bring the organic earth back.
Mm,
And just to go in on with that, I mean, myself and Joe, I mean, Joe more so, we do a lot of grid work to help bring the organic consciousness of the earth back and reground it back to the earth, because the matrix does overlay the earth.
mm, mm,
And that's another big subject anyway, that, that's a podcast in itself. But if we can really tap in, and I'm not saying by having a reading by me whatsoever, I'm saying be in nature and without the distraction, because they want us distracted for that reason, and things will
mm,
start to come to you. And I did an experiment actually today, and I try not to have my phone in the morning at all, very early on. And I was just like sitting in the garden, and I was listening to this little blue-tip bird that comes to see me every day. And I was having all these like downloads, and I thought, I'm going to do an experiment now. I'm just going to go to my laptop and open something and see what happens to this idea that I've just had, right? So I went into purposely did it, and the idea disappeared, because it's being
wow.
harvested.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We are being harvested
Mm,
massively, and it's about having the awareness of this and having time off our phone, being in nature. It's so
mm,
important. I can't even tell you guys. Like, everyone talks about grounding. Yes, grounding. It's a massive subject. Massive subject. It's more than just the negative ions in the ground. It
mm,
is the remembrance of our own DNA, that the spark that they cannot destroy, and because they can't destroy it, they have to keep us, you know, bread and circus all the time,
yeah.
because it starts to resurface very quickly if we just have the stillness of mind. So quite early on, I started to teach people that I wonder if everyone can do this, because I'm very much, I want to teach people, I want to learn, I want to teach, I want to learn, and I want to empower. And I thought, there's no way there's just me that can just do this. So I'm going to teach people. So I taught people how I connect, how I protect myself with the water, how I don't have anything to do with chakras, guys. Another thing that's going to trigger people. I only go through my soul energy and heart. That's it, because the chakras again are just an overlay to energy harvest us. And yeah, I can't remember where I was going with this now. That stopped me. It stopped me on purpose. I can't remember where I was going with it, but anyway, yeah. So everything in this reality is distraction, distortion, and we are the ones that have the power, and that's what we need to remember. But it's tapping in like you do every day, AJ, by your tree and the downloads that you get. The general, yeah, that tree is powerful. The general person will just be sitting scrolling on the phone with Netflix. I am equally as guilty as that, but I have the awareness of that's it now. And I mean, today I've spent all day, we was on Zoom calls, me and Joe, but then I went out in nature, I did some foraging, and was disconnected from my phone. It was beautiful. And even if we do that, it's so important, because that is how they get us in this matrix system, and we can step out so easy.
No, absolutely. I set out under my tree, my yew trees, like every single day. You know, and I tap in every single time. I actually brought a rock back from the Abbey on Viking Way down the road, and I actually buried it in between my yew trees. I just felt like very cool to make that connection. But yeah, it's the eternal wisdom that you receive as well from the trees, and all the ancestral wisdom and that, you know. A lot of my meditations now are pretty like, I'm just like, I feel myself like tapping into the earth. I feel the wisdom of the trees on my shoulders, and I can literally like hear my heartbeat through the wood, so it like amplifies. You know, it's really powerful. And yeah, I kind of like, a lot of my meditations, it's like I'm literally sat round a fire with like chiefs and all sorts, like all like really ancestral. You know, my meditations aren't very much like, oh shit, you know, what am I going to do? What am I going to do with the fish tonight for dinner? It's very much like tapping into all the shamanic elements of my mission, I guess, and our mission. You know, like when me and Corin do what we do, it's very kind of like shamanic work. But that in itself is an endless journey. You know, it's just, you're always learning. As I found out in Portugal, you know, recently, I just learned so much on this trip. It was phenomenal, life changing, and see. But then obviously seeing the fruits of all the work that you're putting in, and those deeper connections and deeper aspects of yourself being reflected on the people that you're helping or come to see you, right? I think that's one of the major awesome things, big points about going on these journeys and into people of service for others, is seeing the transformation in people based on either your reading or a one-to-one session or whatever it may be, retreats, whatever. It's actually seeing those instant transformations, which is pure acknowledgement of why it's so worth it. And everything you do before that is just purely an investment. Like, it's not a cost.
That's it. I think that the most, and I think for me, like, I know I'm so in line with what I'm meant to be doing, and being of service in such a particular way and staying in my lane it's so important to me. And it's I mean, I've just started to do one-to-one healing sessions again. I stopped doing it for quite a long time because I just didn't physically have the time. But I put all my knowledge into my sessions. I've got a really beautiful piece of healing music that was actually took a year to, I didn't create it, but it took a year to create. This guy actually created it in a cave, so it had no other frequency distortions. And I play that music, and I always make something for my clients that is related to what they're going through. And anyway, this one particular guy, I mean, he even might be watching this. On Friday, he had a eye condition, which I can never remember what it's called, but it's caused by diabetes, and he's losing his vision. And he'd been to like 10 specialists or something like that, and had all this injections in his eyes and stuff. No one could help him. And after 24 hours of him having the healing session with me, he could read a car number plate that was in front of him. And then 48 hours after, he texts me and just says, I can see the numbers on the scales. I've not seen them for 2.5 years. So brilliant. Being of service like that, because I'm tapping into the blueprint, my blueprint, I have the understanding, so much understanding of the earth and how we can use the earth's frequencies and its physical matter with healing. It is really helping people. So to be in line with that and to be of service, and the products that we create is it is amazing. But it's all within us all. That's the thing. And what I was saying when I lost my train of thought, when I was trying to teach people what I could do, I couldn't at all. But what my process of the meditation and going into the self and not connecting to angels and not connecting to guides, because you don't need a gatekeeper. You're all you've ever needed. It started to unlock their own gifts because they were in that stillness space. So people that could activate their voice, some people that were singing, some people had these visions, and I thought, okay, so that's what I'm doing. I'm allowing and holding the space and teaching them to be within that ever expansive space for everything to come online for them, and that's what the level 3 is actually going to be about. We're just doing level 2, but the level 3 is about helping people activate their own gifts.
Brilliant. So it's awesome. And we've got so many beautiful people in the community whose gifts have activated in recent months and it's been amazing to watch, especially when you can see people like receiving feeling the light codes come through the body or it comes through their voice, and it's just like I noticed on Leslie is in the chat comment. Good old Leslie. I mean, I remember seeing her angelic light codes come through, through voice, through song. And she's been in our events and just like people are constantly going, wow, that music was amazing. You're like, oh, music, mate. That was our northern lass over here.
Wow. Is that Leslie Quinn?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That's unreal. And it's been amazing to see that journey as well, for Leslie and so many other people. I've noticed that like the light language and things like that activates like predominantly in women. I've never seen. I've done a lot of coding myself, but not like really in an event. It's actually either been in like a powerful meditation or ceremony or something like that. But I've noticed very much that the women, the ladies, like get a lot of light codes come through them. And I find for the men, the biggest activations have been from the heart. So it's like, because we know that it's been a war on the hearts of men, hasn't it? Like to close that heart. And then they live their life like in the bottom strand of their DNA, and they're not activating the 12-strand DNA. It's just like it's like you said, bread and circus, in the same countries, just different sport, still bread and circus.
It's the same thing. Because ultimately, the women are. I mean, I know there's a lot of amazing men healers, but women are the healers, and the men are there to protect the women and to have an open heart, to love them, to support them, so the women can do their work, their healing work. And it's it's all this distorted roles of men and women. And I really think that this rise of feminism and all that kind of thing, like that's how it started, and collapsing the family unit and sending the women out to work, putting your kids in childcare. We know how it goes. But again, it's for the men to be suppressed as fuck, and then for the women to take on a masculine role because the men have been suppressed. We need to really have the awareness of that, and that's what's happened. So the men are there, and I think that's why it's really interesting that you said that the men are there to be the protectors, so all this beautiful light language and healing can come through to the women. So
because they're standing in their god, because they've got the space to stand in their goddess energy, right?
Absolutely. And you're so good at bringing the men out like that. And I always tell everyone about how amazing that you are about really helping men open up It's so important, the work that you do, AJ. I always talk about it.
Yeah.
My friend.
Yeah, and it because I see it happen in real time. You know, I see when the men allow themselves to be cracked open beyond all their ego patterns and stuff like that, and the vulnerabilities, and share those vulnerabilities. You know, that it puts you in such a good space. And we had some awesome guys on the retreat just recently, you know, and to share such great deep conversation with them, you know, and one of them being ex-military as well, which was phenomenal, because people have been of service in either the military or blue light and stuff like that. Like they often come with a lot of things that they hold in.
Exactly.
But just as much, you know, other people come from very abusive, traumatic relationships and stuff like that, where they're like many men out there right now, just feel that they're only going to work to be on the tools, to pay their bills, and their relationship comes with a lot of conditions, you know. And there's a big difference between conditional love and unconditional love, right? But you know, we are here to return, you know, to find and experience unconditional love as well, which also comes in different forms. It's not, you know, the next woman isn't always going to be your twin flame or divine union, right? It's like unconditional love comes in many different forms, and I think that's why there's a lot of breakups happening at the moment and stuff like that, because people are realizing they're in either a trauma-based relationship, and that it just comes with conditions, and that isn't how we're here to. That's not how we're supposed to live, because it's not from the heart. It's from physical contracts and bills and shit, right? And just keeping that going day in, day out. So, you know, it's been really great to support a lot of guys going through, you know, relationship stuff as well. And we know them within our community, right? Good friends of ours and yours. The men have got massive hearts, haven't they? And when we have our events, they hold space. They hold space really well for the women to express themselves, and that goddess energy come out.
Yeah, they really do, and unfortunately, they're very few and far between. So the work that you're doing it's profound and definitely needed and important. And because we're all in this together. We've all got our role. We've all got to stay in our lane and find our thing, and stop being distracted, because it's so easily done. So easily done.
But again, that's a work in progress as well, isn't it? Like,
of course it is.
Not a lot, you know, staying in your lane now, focusing on like tapping into your soul mission. And on that note, it's been, you know, amazing to have you on the show today to explain a lot of this in detail about what you do, you know, and again, we're just reiterating just how powerful we are, and that we're all only really in first gear, like. We've literally just popped it into gear, really. And that there's so much more to come, you know, and that they're deep knowings. And, you know, I can't stress enough for those watching and listening, if you're called to learn a bit more about the deeper aspects of yourself, and you think it'll unlock more doors and peel back more layers, like, please reach out to Kelly and have a reading with her. And I strongly advise checking out all their products on crystalwarexperience.com. I've put it into all the chat. Obviously, it's on the screen as well, /ref/AJ Roberts. That direct link will get you 10% off all the products, courses, and everything across the site. And use that time to educate yourself further. You know, don't just snap by the products. Like, learn about them. Like, actually learn about what Jo and Kelly do. Learn about all the quantum elements. Learn about the inorganic and organic grids and everything that comes around that as well, like, because it's part of your deprogramming. So the more you learn about that, all the old shit just leaves you.
Exactly.
You know, because that's what it is.
Sorry, AJ, could just ask for people that did the water experiment how the pain is, so no one can only see these comments
go
here.
there,
Anyway, someone's put Carl Elizabeth, stay in your lane. It just means don't get distracted for what you're meant to be doing. We've all got this. We've all got this inside us, and we're feel that we've got to go to that side and that side. But really, when we found our thing and it truly resonates with our soul, and we feel that's what we need to be doing, that's all we need to be doing. And we need to get good at that. And then something else might open, then we do that. But all these different things and be pulled from pillar to post is we're getting nowhere fast. So that's what I mean by that.
Yeah.
So Deborah's pain's gone. That's great. Brilliant.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, it's great to do a live demonstration as well. And this is why I like doing the podcast live and interactive. So
yeah, it's great.
Absolutely awesome. And guys, if you have any, further feedback after the show, feel free to reach out, DM, contact Kelly direct. That'd be absolutely amazing. But thank you once again, my love, for coming on. It's we're in an amazing time now. Things are moving at warp speed. So to be surrounded by people like yourself is, an absolute blessing. And it's why I love doing this. This is why I love doing this side of work, in terms of bringing people's gifts to the forefront, so that other people can really see, just what we're capable of, and the amazing people are out there that are contactable and of service, like yourself.
Exactly. Thank you, AJ. Honestly, you're an amazing guy, and I've got so much love for you. And can't wait to see you again, whenever that may be.
Of course.
All right.
Thank you, ladies and gents, for tuning in. Thank you for everyone who joined us live. Your questions and your comments. It's been fantastic. Thank you very much, as always. Do tune in next week. I'll have a surprise guest, and so we're aiming for the same time as at 8 o'clock on a Thursday. But for myself and Kelly, look after yourself. Keep drinking your water.
Clean, structured water.
keep breaking the matrix, and I'll see you once again very soon on Transmissions of AJ. Much love.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.